Welcome to the Fink, It Isn't Until It Is podcast. I'm Finn.
I'm Tim.
I'm Guy.
This is season 2, in which we discuss the various moving parts in a life in music. Please, Mr. T, introduce this episode of season 2, Fink, It Isn't Until It Is podcast.
Yes, so this is all about health on tour.
Health on tour.
Health on tour. Yeah. That's the one. So this could cover all sorts of things. This could cover how to stay healthy on tour.
We'll go to Guy for that one.
We'll go to Guy for that one. How to look after your mental health on tour, which is an interesting question. And also, just in general, what keeps you going on tour? What do you have to do to kind of keep yourself energetic and bubbly? Because you have to be on tour, don't you? You have to be able to walk out on stage. Well, all right.
I don't walk onto our tour bus and think, gosh, isn't it bubbly in here?
Well, you're quite bubbly on tour. You have your moments of being
of bubbles.
Yeah,
you mean?
yeah.
You need to keep your powder dry.
Buoyant. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So where do we start with this? I mean, I've got various things.
Where do we start? Well, I imagine it being a Fink podcast, you've probably got a list of some kind prepared.
I've got a quiz.
Oh my God.
I've got a quiz. I mean,
well, I think maybe we should start with the
Do you want
quiz.
to start with
the quiz?
I would love to know what Guy's health regime is on tour, but maybe we get to that at the end.
Yeah.
My quiz is a bit frivolous. I don't know. Maybe we should start with the kind of...
Okay, well, in which case I will start then. I will start. The biggest problem for staying healthy on tour, and I will admit, Finn is alluding hilariously to the fact that I might not have a track record of being the most diligent in looking after my physical health. But one of the biggest problems, which I know you guys will agree with, is dinner can happen between sound check and gig.
I didn't
It's
think
always
you were
an
going to
issue.
say dinner.
No, but the meal, your meal of the day is
Just
very
don't eat
important.
dinner.
Well, this is the trouble: is that you don't want to because you got to do a gig, and sometimes we've had times when the food is so nice that you can't help but eat it all, and you're doing a gig, and you're like, oh God, you're full on stage. And then other times where you don't want to eat anyway, you're sensible, and so you end up eating absolute crap at 1 a.m, pizza or burgers,
or you don't.
Yeah, but that can become an easy pattern. And beer. And start off on tour and start with like one or two beers a night.
You're describing it like an innocent victim that's being hoodwinked by beer, and pizza
beer.
is forcing itself down my mouth in the morning. And
it's all a question of timing. You know exactly what I mean. But okay, it can be very. I think everyone would agree with me. It can be very difficult to maintain a healthy diet on tour. You can be faced with a lot of garage food. You can get stuck at a border and detained for 12 hours, and the bus runs out of.
I think that splitter touring is a lot harder to maintain healthy eating than bus touring.
Yeah, I mean, when you're on a splitter tour in the States, every rest stop is the same crap,
right.
and it's actually impossible to have a healthy diet. The healthiest you can get is a salad from Popeyes or something, and that's got more calories in it than a Big Mac, and that's really hard. And that's when you need to be like when we toured with Canadian, and he'd have a pot of rice and some tuna in his bag.
Yeah, there are tricks.
Just because it's like, okay, I'm going to eat this instead of eating that box of genetically modified chicken or something.
Yeah.
I mean, because I don't look at it the same way as Guy. I don't think that pizza is forcing itself upon me, and sometimes a beer is so nice you just have to drink it, even if that's at 9 a.m. or right before the show. Yeah. But I do definitely agree that in order to maintain energy on stage, you have to gauge how do I have the most energy at 9.
Yes.
Or if you're on at 10, or if you're in the Med, if you're in Italy or something, at 10:30 or something.
Yes.
And it's not it's not something you do at home. You don't sort of think, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch Netflix at 9:30. I need to be full of beans for that. Right, let's go. So I don't eat dinner on tour. I have like you say, splitter tours are different. You just have to roll with it. But a bus tour, I will have the salad option waiting for me after the stage. Whatever everyone had for dinner, I will have the veggie option or the salad, even though I want the pizza or the burger or the chips, but I just won't order it. So that when I come off stage, there's only one option, it's the salad. And if I'm hungry, which I will be ravenous after 2 hours of working out, I'll eat the salad after the show. Because if I have a meal before the show, I'm too heavy, I'm too full, I'm too slow, I'm half asleep, and I need to be... It's hard to explain to someone that doesn't play live, but you have to be as sharp as you can. It's a weird vibe. You know, you're having fun and you're doing what you love, but you know, the level of focus and attention is at the absolute the toppest you can possibly muster at that point.
You've got to go on stage hungry, I think. You're a little bit hungry.
That's true.
If you go on stage full to the gills, we've tried it. It's horrible.
Well, a lot depends on when dinner is. Like, so for example, if you're in,
we're talking about fucking dinner already.
It's the only meal really that happens. Everything else is just rider.
This is my conundrum, right? Now, I am not a napping person. I have never napped in my life, really. I've never. He
gets really grumpy when he does it.
But the weird thing is that touring has made me realise, ever since maybe kind of the end of the Hard Believer tour, I need, especially if I'm sleeping on a bus, I need to have a nap. I really, really, really do. And the annoying thing is that having a nap is usually, the time slot for that is normally exactly the same time slot as eating.
Dinner.
So I don't want to eat, like you, I don't want to eat anywhere near stage time. So
same.
if we're going on stage at 9, I don't want to eat beyond 6:30.
True.
Same.
All right. And quite often, like if you're in an organised place like lots of German venues, you will be fed at 6 o'clock, and that's perfect.
Yeah, the crew get to, because the crew need to. The crew they're on a different routine to you.
Yeah.
The crew needs to eat like man food or like crew food.
Yeah.
At 6, and you can't. If you alter that, you're altering the fabric of our universe.
Yeah.
It's like you can't. You shouldn't.
And this is where riders come into play, because festivals, obviously festival conditions apply, they're irrelevant, I think, for this conversation. I mean, it's not up to us. And often festivals is actually, you get amazing catering. It's a really good option to eat properly and healthily.
You can eat when you want sometimes. If it's a good festival.
You're also on at 4, so you can eat after.
True.
That's true.
But if you're looking at riders, like, you know, you guys know exactly what I'm alluding to. In Germany, there's veggie soup options. There's, you know, the amazing spread of, you can eat really healthily all day long from the minute you set off the bus. Whereas American venues, it can be a fistful of jelly beans and a warm beer, literally. So it's up to you. And as you say, service station, gas station food, it ends up being, and it's like, oh no.
Well, it's good that you brought up riders, because if you want to be healthy on tour and you're doing a 2-week, 3-week, 4-month run, then the best place to start is your rider.
Yeah, 100%.
We do. We have to cater for all tastes in our crew, irrelevant of what mine are. So we have to have ham and cheese and, you know, the usual stuff, and crisps and chocolate for those people that require that. But recently we've tried to have like no plastic. I know that's not to do with health, but in a way it's to do with my mental health.
Sure.
You know, no plastic on tour, which means healthier food, which means locally sourced food, we hope.
Yeah.
Unless they go buy it in plastic, take it out of the plastic, then put it on a plate and give it to me, which they probably do. But if you keep your rider, if let's say if you don't want to eat a burger after the gig, then we can put on the rider absolutely no burgers.
Yeah.
Or if we don't want to have any pizzas after the show, because on that tour where we were having pizzas every night, I was disgusted. You know, like every night after the gig, Simon would show up with like boxes of pizzas for everybody, and I'd be like, "This isn't good. This means that no one's going to go to sleep in the next 90 minutes. I'm going to go to sleep now." And then tomorrow, you know what I mean? You've got a bus full of pizza boxes and pizzas, and everyone's had pizza at 2 in the morning. And there's one way to avoid that, is not to
just
get the
don't
pizzas.
get them. Exactly.
Like you can do that, even though you might think, "Oh, everyone's just been applauding me for 2 hours. I'm amazing. I can do whatever I want." If it's a one-off, you totally can. If tomorrow you're waking up in a hotel, brilliant. But if you've got another 5 gigs that week, you've got to think about every one of those shows, especially the last one in the run, like the 5th gig in a row, where your voice is knackered, your hands are tired, your body's aching a little bit, and
you're beginning to think about possibly hotel and laundry and stuff. You've got to be sensible.
I've got 90 minutes in me, so the encore we're just going to have to wing it kind of level. And if you burn your energy out in the first 2 gigs by eating pizzas and drinking beers and stuff, then those last 3 gigs are going to be just phoned in. And it means that the other guys on the stage have to pick up the slack from the guys who are phoning it in because they're knackered. And then you get more knackered because you have to do the heavy lift for the others. And it's just like, you know, it's like that can be like really exhausting, especially if you're kind of like, if you see someone just driving themselves into the dust by drinking every day and getting wasted every night and eating pizzas every night, and you're just kind of like, man, you know, this isn't got a happy ending on this one, whether it's this week or next year or
Yeah.
I'm not saying everyone should have quinoa salads every day. I'm really not. But I just, you're there to work.
Yeah.
And if you were a lumberjack and you were cutting trees down all day, if you had pizza every day, you'd soon realise you haven't got the juice for this anymore. But if you had a quinoa salad, you might, weirdly enough.
But I think as well there was a lesson learned from early days of days off on tour can be a bit of a trap for that in terms of they're tempting to get completely wasted. I remember we got dumped in Munich one day. And well, you know,
we
you
couldn't
feel like
check
you
into the
deserve,
hotel.
and so we all just went like literally. It was just a great. I think annoyingly it might have been my birthday or something, so it was a reason as well. And everyone just looked at each other and went, "Well, let's just go to a beer hall," and then that's it. And the day gets really blurry, and you only really. It sounds like a great idea, and it sounds really rock and roll and really good fun, and you get really hammered. But then you wake up and you realise you're at the start of another 5-day stretch the next day,
for sure.
and you arrive on that. If you arrive on day one with a hangover, you really are lining yourself up for 5 days of tough giggery.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you are that person that needs to do all of that stuff to enjoy themselves, then you got to pace yourself.
Exactly.
Really,
yeah. But even then, because bear in mind, laundry day is laundry day, sleep day is sleep day. You've got to look after yourself on tour. It can start off all fun and games, but as you say, and it's all right on a 2-week run, but on a 3-month run, as we did a 3-month one in one stint. Other bands have done longer runs than that, and I'm sure they'll testify. You've really got to look after yourself, and not just physically, but also genuinely mentally as well. Like mental health, you've really got to take care of.
Yeah,
3 months away from home can be a long time for people, no matter what.
That 3-month tour, that was a particular difficult one for me, because I think that marked the point at which I realised that I wasn't young anymore.
Was that the Resurgam tour?
Yes.
Yeah.
So not because it was a long tour, or but it was just because I was still sort of behaving in a way how I'd always behaved. So I think the concession I made was that I wasn't going to have any beers before the gig.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
and you have a beer on stage?
No, I wouldn't. I'd only have a beer for the encore.
Oh, right, yeah.
So Simon would hand me a beer for the encore, and I'd go back on stage with a beer, and they'd be like, "Hey, we're doing the encore now." So that was like a nice moment.
Yeah.
And that probably would have been fine if I'd then not had any more beers after that. But I did, and halfway through the tour, I basically kind of freaked out. And
Does that really hit your head?
Yeah.
No, that was a couple of years
later.
before.
Oh, was it?
Oh, was it? Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, but I did start getting panic attacks actually on stage, because and I remember like playing the Forum,
right,
and it was
Kentish
Town Forum, and it was like midway through the tour, everything was perfect, brilliant audience, mates in the audience, and I remember walking on stage and like after the end of the first song, just going, I don't know if I can carry on doing this.
Right, I'm not used to this.
I have to like, am I going to just like puke on stage or faint or something?
Yeah.
And I basically didn't enjoy the rest of the gig. It was terrible.
I'm sure you didn't.
I nearly cancelled that show.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, because I was on the bus backstage. That was when Sumit came to have a chat with me, because I had my back, because I'd fucked my back.
Yeah.
And I was icing every night and self-medicating every night to get through the show. And I said to Sumit, I don't think I can do this one. I can't really walk. I'm icing my back just to get onto the stage, and then the adrenaline kicks in. This is another point about the health on tour.
Yes.
Yeah,
Whatever
adrenaline,
problem you have.
Yeah.
When you hit the stage, Dr. Stage kicks in, and then all the adrenaline just rushes through you, and everything's fixed, which means that you go for it extra hard with that passion that you have the day after you've just got over a cold.
Yeah.
That's when you go like, I'm going to do a triathlon now because I feel amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so Dr. Stage comes around, he kicks in, all your adrenaline floods in, and you get this 90 minutes of pain-free joy in a way, where you do more damage to whatever's wrong with you because you're just full of adrenaline, whether it's elbow or fingers hurt or whatever, knees are problems or something.
Yeah.
And then you come off stage and you feel it when the adrenaline starts falling off.
Yeah.
You feel everything come back, whether it's pain or muscle problems or back problems or whatever it is. That also adds to the emotional roller coaster of it all, because you're like, after a while, or certainly after a while with me on those tours in the mid-teens, I was kind of waiting for Dr. Stage to kind of kick in. That would be my day's clock. It'd be like, I can't wait to get on stage just so that I can like not be in pain anymore for 90 minutes. That's great. And then, Karima was like giving me like Voltaren, painkiller rubs after the show. Do you remember? With my arm and everything. It was crazy. My body was falling apart.
Was that the tour where you got taped up by Anita Nussbaumer? You know, she
Oh,
used to do
yeah.
that thing of
Yeah.
covering you in green tape
Yeah,
around your back.
absolutely, yeah.
like
That was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, Anita's fantastic. Austria, she's great. But yeah, Dr. Stage is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
It
really
kills
is.
you afterwards. You're absolutely right. You're totally right. I remember going on stage with just the most god-awful cold, which is it's awful. Like something as simple as a cold can represent a nuke to a tour bus, let alone, touch wood, we've never had it, but you know, stomach bugs, something like that, in that confined environment with all it
we've
doesn't
had
bear
that.
thinking
We've had
about. But yeah, we've been I think we've been reasonably lucky, but yeah, for a lead singer to get just a horrifying cold, just there you go.
No, I've been on the Bloom Innocent tour that happened, and front of house. He had to tailor the EQs on the voices because I couldn't push it. Do you remember? Because I drunk that. We got sponsored by some bottle company, some ethical bottle company called Dopper. They're from Holland.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they were thermal, and I put some tea in there, and then I opened it up, and I took a massive swig, and I swallowed it, and I basically scalded my throat. Do you remember?
I forgot.
So week one, I couldn't hit any high notes because it was all burnt off. And had to sing in a completely different way. Had to be like really on mic. It was crazy. And that's just from having a sip of hot tea.
God, any injuries.
I remember you try and avoid unhealthy people like the plague. And if you're super paranoid about getting a cold, or especially if you're a singer or something like that, you do tell the TM, and I do every tour, like if anyone wants to come backstage and they're sniffing or scratching or sweating, it's like a no.
100%.
Okay, so that's like Dr. Stage. The other one is prep for the tour.
Yeah.
No, that's how I've managed to stay healthy to do the tours.
Yeah.
Is that I hit the tour in an ideal situation. I'd say 90% of the time, I'm at the healthiest I could possibly be when I do the first gig.
Yeah.
I've dieted. I've worked out every day for maybe. I would regularly lose like 10 kilos for the tour. That was always my thing. So even if I didn't succeed, it would mean I would be hitting the gym every day. My diet would be changed. I would be trying to get down to 80 kilos, and so I would hit the tour, and then because you don't work out on tour every day, of course not. You might want I mean, I do what I do every day, but I don't like go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
And then if it's a 3-monther or a 2-monther, it's a slow decline, and it's all about managing the decline.
Yeah.
And the tours I've done straight, I've hit the end of the tour thinking I could do another month. But the tours I was doing wobbly, should we say? You know, I'd hit the end of a 6-week tour and just be like, I need a holiday. I'm really exhausted.
A lot of this stuff is about pre-planning, being kind of organised and so on, and it's kind of, you know, for anyone younger listening, it's kind of boring. It's kind of un-rock and roll.
It is.
But, you know, like things like making sure, like I have to make sure that I have porridge on the bus. I have to make sure that I have tea. And on this next tour, because this is the first tour that we'll have done since I got diagnosed with high blood pressure. So I'll make sure there's alcohol-free beer on the rider because I love a beer, but I don't want to drink. Yeah. Right? I'm also thinking, because you've always got a decent pillow.
Yeah, I've always got a decent
pillow. And I've always kind of thought, I'll be all right.
No,
but actually, I need a decent pillow because you need to sleep.
Yeah. There you go. Sleep on the bus is another one because
take your favourite pillow.
It takes everybody, I think I'm right in saying. I don't think I've ever met anyone who sleeps immediately well first night on the bus. Everybody needs to just, maybe Rob, but everybody needs to adjust to that, and it's a weird place to sleep, weird timings to sleep. You know, it shifts everything. Sleep. So I love the bus as well.
The best.
After you've been on it for a little bit, it is heaven on earth. And going home is so weird. This big open room where
nothing's moving.
Yeah, I know, it's annoying.
No, but there's something really. It's something
got this little coffin with a curtain.
Womb-like.
There is. You crawl into your little coffin. It's delightful. Love it.
This is why I was so surprised when I had an MRI that I was claustrophobic, because I'm like, listen, man, I've just been on a bus for 10 years. I can't be.
I think one of my favourite things about that is hearing Tim forget that he's on a bus almost every morning, every day. I'd be lying there in bed just looking at my phone, just hear thump, ow. He sits up every single day.
Man, I think that what a lot of people, and I remember being on that Resurgam tour, and it was the date we played in Tilburg at 013 in Tilburg, which is a big old box. Yeah. And I remember playing the gig and then getting to the end of the gig and seeing all the people kind of milling out of the venue and looking like they were happy and they were great, you know. And I was thinking to myself, you've gone home after a good night. You've had a really good night, and this has maybe been something you've been looking forward to, like I do when I look forward to going to a gig. Yeah. And we put on this show every single night. So you get to the end of the gig and then you think to yourself, I've got to do exactly the same thing tomorrow night and the next night and the next night.
Yeah.
And so that's like that's the thing that takes a lot to get used to. And if you're a bit fragile, like I was at that point, you know, it can really freak you out.
Well, it's like when you look at the Book of Lies at the beginning of the run, and it's like an inch thick, and you turn the first page and you're playing, I don't know, where do we normally play first gig? Oh, let's say Vilnius or something. So you turn the page and it says Vilnius, and you're like, right, there's another, 60 pages of this book.
Yeah.
And, you know, wow, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think on tour, the best way to maintain a healthy balance is routine. And that's the best way to maintain a healthy balance at home as well.
Sure. Yeah.
It's just transferring that routine to a life on tour, which is incredibly structured with these big dollops of dead time. And what you do in that dead time is you get stoned, or you get drunk, or you eat pizza, or you do yoga and you meditate, or go for a run or whatever, you know. And it's like there are lots of things that can get in the way of that. You might have to do some promo. It might be raining. I don't know. You know, there might not be a room for you to roll your yoga mat out in. But the more you maintain that balance, it is actually possible to go on tour and come back healthier than when you left. Because you get this routine built into your life that you don't have at home. And because every day you're going to wake up at 11, and then there's going to be a load in, and then there's going to be a sound check at 4, and you're going to be needed around 5:15, and then there's going to be a 2-hour break, and then it's doors, and that's every day. So you can build in spots for your physical health, whether that's yoga or working out or whatever, and mental health, meditation, or having a moment, or going for a walk, or just going to find a cafe and sit on your own. We've had crew members that do that. They have an app for a coffee app, and they'll just go find Bean Hunter. They just go and find a coffee shop that does a flat white, not because they want to have a flat white, but it's their moment to walk, sit down, look at the people of the town, have a moment.
It's really important.
It is really important because there's no space on tour, and this is something that even our partners who know us very well don't understand. They can see all the stuff that we do, but what they don't see is that you don't get any time to yourself, not a second. And I described it to you get more maybe as you get bigger and the buses get bigger and stuff, but I remember telling my wife about this and just sort of saying, you know, the only time I get to myself is when I go to the bathroom, which is when I call you, when I'm on the toilet, or when I'm on the stage, and I get a moment on my own with 2,000 people staring at me. And those are the two moments those are the two only isolated moments in my day. The rest of the time, I'm covered in bodies.
That's true though. The on-stage time is quite.
That can really become like the quietest, nicest, most easily managed. Well, it's often on tour, the hour on stage, the 90 minutes, 2 hours on stage, is the only bit where you can actually control your day. You're in complete control.
Well, that was particularly
sometimes parameters are outside your control, and there's curveballs coming at you all the time, and you know for a fact, as long as everything else is okay and the sounds and all the technicality, that period of the day, definitely you're going to like have that little bit of privacy. It's really delightful. I know what you mean, even though you're in the process of hopefully giving over as much of yourself as you can.
So what was your thing about the Susie Green?
Oh, Susie Green, she's great. Yeah. Well, it's related to COVID in some ways, but she started this thing called the Back Lounge because, we're all here talking about our mental health and our physical health, and we're not mentioning the crews or our crew or anything like that, where they have to like do all the stuff that we do and do the same show that we do and do all that work during the day when we're doing our yoga and having our moments. And then when we've finished and we're having a beer and talking to some, hot Austrian girls or something, they're loading the trailer and counting the merch and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's become much more front and center in our industry, the mental health of the crews that are out there. Because I think we've had many examples of, these guys and girls just cracking under the relentlessness of it all, the pressure of it all. And we've had on tour, we've had crew members quit for mental health reasons, physically can't do it anymore, breakdowns, mental breakdowns. We've actually witnessed this with our crew, and you tend to not notice when you're busy being in the band. You only get to notice when they come up and tell you that, reality is crumbling and I need to leave.
Yeah.
And that's when you kind of go, oh no, don't leave, because that would ruin the show.
Yeah.
Let's work out how we can possibly ring fence you from the impact of this moment, which we've had a bunch of times. And yeah, Susie Green started at the back lounge, and Susie Green's an amazing TM. So she knows everybody from the lead singer to the merch handler.
Yeah.
So literally, Susie has people managed everyone on monster tours, and she herself has had COVID was tough because she's a big TM, and that's COVID stopped that. And the back lounge was an opportunity specifically for crews and techies to get together with other crews and techies. No industry or artists or anyone in the way of their opinions or filters for them. It was just techies talking about techies and techie problems and techie issues. And, I think it's...
So what is it?
In COVID, it started off as a massive Facebook group type of a Zoom call.
Yeah.
And Susie would pick topics with a hilarious meme on Facebook to clickbait you in.
Right.
And, and it would be, just like these podcasts, today's topic is mental health on the road. Today's topic is bullying and sexism in the music industry. Today's topic is, there is no topic today. It's just it's just an open, hi.
Yeah.
My name's Ben. I'm a soundaholic kind of, to get through COVID, but it's stayed on after COVID, because that community felt that they really needed this, if you like, service.
Yeah.
A forum to talk about the fact that it's okay to say, man, I'm really depressed, even though we have it in our own lives, and it's not all about us, of course, but when we go home and we say to our wives, oh man, that tour was really tough, and they look at you as if to say, dick.
Right.
What do you mean tough? You stink of pizza and beer and you applause, and they don't get totally. yes, all of that's true, but it also was really mentally challenging, physically difficult. And the techies, I think, even less, because they don't get the round of applause. They don't even get the money.
Yeah.
They don't get the record sales. They just get like a bunk and a good night's sleep, and man, that's about it, really. So totally. I think the mental health in the music business is definitely an up and coming issue. All the majors are into it. Everyone has a consultant now, but they kind of left out the crews, the live crews. So I think Susie kind of stepped in and sort of not consciously, but just did it, and it grew into a thing. And in our own tiny experience of having skeleton crews on just single bus tours. Yeah. We've had crew members get right to the edge, because also you have no control over what's going on at home. If your wife is dear Johnning you and you're on tour, it's like I can't go home and fix it.
No, it must feel like you're literally at war, like you're in a bunker holed up away.
Nothing you can do.
Well, there's times like that, when your wife phones you and says, and it's not anybody's fault. It's just reality. They phone you. You're in the middle of sound checking in, Brno, and the day's been really stressful, and you're already tired, and someone's had a massive argument, and it's already pants, and your missus rings you and says, oh, what's the login for the thing, and can you send me the account number for British Gas? And you're like, oh god, no, I don't know, no, absolutely not, can't. Sorry, you're on your own.
And so exactly, and hence that's where the vicious circle begins, isn't it? It's no, I abdicate life's responsibility to somebody else, because I'm just on tour, and all I have to do is
do anything else.
Play bass and eat pizza, and that's it.
Can't think of anything else.
Exactly. Yeah, it's true. It happens because you can't think of anything else.
Of course not. Yeah, so you have to, but then you do have to momentarily switch heads, bear in mind the planet exists outside your little sphere of influence here. Yeah, it is quite a funny little world like that, touring.
It's true.
But it's funny. I'm glad, and it's funny you mentioned crew, because I was actually crew long before I was ever playing bass on stage.
I suppose you were. Yeah.
And I'd say that I think part of the problem, mental health wise, is it's a very macho world. Not to offend, there's lots of ladies who do it and they're brilliant, but it tends to be a little bit of quite a macho environment, blokes don't want to, and all these blokes don't want to admit that they're feeling a bit, whatever, homesick or depressed or tired or exhausted. They just want to crack on and be a hard rock bastard like everybody else.
That's true.
Hard rock bastard, and their combat shorts, lifting heavy weights. And it can be very difficult to admit that you're finding it really difficult.
Yeah, I mean, our dearly departed TM Simon De Winter, we saw him nearly kill himself a couple of times loading a trailer he shouldn't have been loading.
No, totally. Yeah, he was a classic. Bless him. He was very much a kind of not admitting that anything was wrong guy.
To the point of he'd put himself at physical risk in order to. not let anyone know a certain thing in a loadout had been so difficult to perform. He'd like, I'll do it myself, even though, mate, you're going to wrench your spine.
That was the first gig of a 30-date run. You can't do this. Yeah, you can't do that. It was Stockholm, I think.
Right.
You can't possibly do this for 30 nights in a row. One off, maybe, we'll get away with it. But it was when we had the truck.
Yeah, right.
And the truck wasn't big enough, but he didn't want to admit that.
No.
So he was stuffing that truck on his own.
Miracles.
Oh my goodness me! Lucky no one got really hurt.
That was a nightmare. He just loved the road, though, didn't he? He lived.
Some people just,
he just lived for it.
You know what? These roadies, these techies, they do. But part of what they love, and what we also love, is that responsibility gone, problems gone. Home bullshit gone. Tonight is Tuesday's all about load in, sound check, gig, load out. That's it. And that is simpler than real life.
It's quite infantilizing.
And also, you have a TM to tell you when's dinner.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say.
When's your drinks token?
Someone's infantilized you. They're literally from the minute you wake up in the morning, your entire day's already pre-planned for you. You just have to be like, what am I doing? Where am I going? You know, ham and cheese is over there. Veggie options there. Sound check at 5.
Yeah.
Make sure you're here.
Roll out of bed at the crack of noon.
Yeah. Choose which t-shirt you're going to wear,
exactly.
and there you go. And it's nice,
that.
but you don't have to do any thinking. But that's good, because that's what buys you the mental space to
do the gig.
To be able to like put your heart and soul into doing the same gig, you know, on show number 35 as you would on show 1. And like you say, it makes no difference whether you're playing a sold out Paris or a not sold out Thessaloniki.
Yeah,
you still got to do it well, because if you don't, then it's an absolute. You know, it's a failure for everybody then.
I'm just remembering that Thessaloniki gig.
Why? What happened there?
Because we were touring with Douglas Dare at that point, and Fabian, right?
Yeah.
And Fabian had said to Douglas Dare, "Can you take this Tom to Thessaloniki? Whatever you do, you can't lose it. Whatever you do, you can't leave it out of your sight. You must always have an eye on it, and you must double check sure that it's always packed and in the van, because it's really rare and super antique and it's irreplaceable. So it's the one thing. Everything else
can go to hell.
But this one Tom." Do not lose it.
Yeah.
And what does Douglas do? I think he leaves it behind, right?
He leaves it in the venue. Leave it in Warsaw or somewhere.
So we get to Thessaloniki and it's not there.
Yeah.
And it was like the only thing.
We had 2 weeks. We had 2 weeks until to get it back before we were being rejoined.
That was insane.
And it was UPSing. That Tom followed us around Europe, chasing us until finally someone said, "Look, just have it sent to a gig 5 days from now."
Yeah, I don't think he ever told
got it back.
Fabs. No, he got it back. I don't think he told
Fabs.
Fabs.
He did
tell him.
He did get it back.
When he got it back.
No, he told him when he was in the process of getting it back.
Oh my god, dude!
So because I remember Fabian's face. Fabian just looked like someone had
punched
injected him with something. He was just like,
talking of mental health on tour, don't lose other people's gear. I mean, we should address the the topic of substance abuse as well, shouldn't we?
Sure,
because it happens.
We're pretty good though. I allegedly might smoke a little bit of weed, but none of us do any coke.
He says literally
none of
us a bit of weed.
No, but none of us have ever really been heavy. But we're generally pretty good, I think, compared to a lot of. Maybe it's due to our age.
That's because it's easy to hide from you.
It's
because you're not that guy.
Oh, okay.
So when I used to be in Hungary and RG would tool us up.
Okay.
And it would be like...
there might be a little bit more partying than I know of. Okay, that's cool. That's fair enough. I wouldn't mind anyway.
In that regard, yeah, because also you need a release when you're on the treadmill. If even if there's a day off the next day, that's the most dangerous night, because you're like, tomorrow I get a lie-in in a hotel, so I'm going to absolutely go hell for leather.
Yeah.
And RG's skills are a lighting guy, are legendary in this regard, as we know. But
and he's also got the constitution of a metal box.
That's the thing. There's this thing in that Keith Richards book, which I thought was really great, where I think it's Mick Jagger that says, there are lots of people that want to hang out with Keith and they want the lifestyle that Keith's got, and they're all dead. But Keith isn't, because he's got the constitution for it.
Yeah.
And so everyone else will die, and he hasn't died. So you can't
amazing.
keep up with some people. RG's one of those people.
Yeah.
But I think it's a routine life, and there are moments of downtime and a lot of boring moments on tour. There's 90 minutes on stage, and there's 22 and a half other hours of the day. Where you're either doing repetitive manual labor or the same shit you did yesterday. and it can be a bit dull. And there's one way to get around that, and that's to, get creative with your recreational activities.
Yeah.
But that is definitely not sustainable.
Yeah.
It might be everyone's, especially if you're a little older. I think with younger bands it's very different, and I might see a young rock and roll band, and if they're all vegan and drinking orange juice, I might be like, oh guys, this is your
It's a
moment.
waste.
Let's get away. Come on, you should be getting wasted right now. For me, do it for me. Take some drugs for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think if you're touring to party, that's a big trap, because as we saw with someone like Andrew WK or some of these party bands like Beastie Boys, who turned into their own pastiche, who had to every night be drinking beer and spraying strippers and all that, that's a trap in itself. You can feel like you need to do it because everybody's expecting you to do it, or you're formatting yourself into that cliche of a rock star. Well, a rock star should be getting drunk right now, or a rock star should be drinking whiskey out of the bottle and all this stuff. But you're a rock star, but you're also many other things. You're also a professional in theory, and working in a business where there's lots of other people on your team that are working as well, and you don't want to drop the ball and everybody gets fired.
One thing I don't think we've ever had though is that thing when you arrive in a city and there's a load of industry there who also want to party like that, and it catches you up into that. We've never really had that. I think the people that we've had working with us have always been quite level-headed.
Nice people, exactly.
We haven't had any.
Well, apart from She Drunk the Rider.
They were lovely people too. Come on,
but
they were lovely people.
Were
but I mean, She Drunk the
They
Rider.
were for partying. They were young, exactly.
They
were young and
They had a good
partying.
time.
Yeah, they definitely
had a good time.
And those special forces guys from Belarus who came on the bus.
They
drank a lot of vodka.
Did
that
they?
Night. Yeah, man. They drank the cabinet out. Yeah,
they were our bodyguards driving through.
Yeah,
that was Ukraine.
Was it Ukraine?
No, it's Belarus.
No, it's definitely Ukraine because remember when we crossed the border, we started getting detained.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was Eugene, our lovely promoter over there, who got on the phone and told him the president's daughter's a big fan. But anyway, he put on 2 special forces dudes to stop us getting messed with by corrupt cops.
Because we ran out of bribery money. But that's another episode. How to bribe the locals.
How to bribe the locals.
Health on tour. What haven't we covered?
Well, we've got my quick quiz.
The quiz.
Oh God, yeah. Go on.
Just a real quick one. This is just related to food.
Go.
Food on tour. Okay, so I'm going to read 7 items of food that we've had on tour.
Okay.
And you've got to guess where we had it.
Oh, that's tough.
Easy.
Okay.
That's tough.
One of them is incredibly easy.
Okay.
All right.
Can I say what one that is? I think I know what that is before you even say it.
Okay.
Pike loaf.
Maybe.
Okay. Go.
All right. So in no particular order, we'll go countdown. Number 7, chocolate brownie brought to us on a sizzling hot plate.
Not a chance. I don't remember that.
Like it was a sizzling fajita.
Yeah, I can picture it, but I don't remember that.
We smelt it in the restaurant, and we thought, "What the hell is that?" And they said, it's a sizzling hot plate of hot chocolate."
Was I there? Because often
Yes.
I wasn't there for restaurants.
No, you were there.
What are we doing for
the night
dinner is
before
my
the
least
gig.
favourite conversation. I want to say America, so I'm going to say Portland.
No.
I literally don't remember that at all. No.
It was in India. It was in Mumbai.
Oh, that was lovely.
The night before the Liberty
could I have forgotten
Cinema
that?
gig.
I actually now I remember. I know exactly
With
how
the
I forgot
staves.
that. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Go next. What's next? What's next?
6 is, Finn, you might not know this, burger encrusted with caviar and gold
No,
leaf.
I do remember when you guys went to that because it was like, do you want to come to the opening of this restaurant, have a free burger? And you had like a gold burger.
Our hosts were lovely, but we didn't enjoy the gold encrusted burger. If I'm honest, that was in Moscow.
That was Russia.
It was in Moscow.
Yeah,
Yes, it was in Moscow. Yes.
Yes.
And it wasn't nice. It wasn't. But I remember you
the
and Chris.
burger was really nice in itself, but the actual caviar burger, it had caviar in it. If you don't like caviar, you're not going to like that. And I did explain that, but he made me taste it anyway. Bless him.
But it was like fish and it was like surf and turf.
Surf and turf. Yeah, totally.
Caviar.
We're counting down. This is easy. Stuffed courgette.
Come on.
Anywhere in France.
Anywhere in France.
Literally the entirety of France.
I know
for years.
the venue you're talking about.
Yes.
Is it in Rennes?
It's down. I don't think it's in the L-shaped venue of Rennes. I think it's what was that called? Fubu.
La Nef.
Ubu.
Oh,
Ubu.
No, I think it's that venue where we had like changing rooms with like cloth.
Oh, you're good.
And Ruben and
the man
Karima had
fell
loads of
over.
fun with like this weird Ruben Hine on keys, Karima monitors. Were playing with a dummy, like a dummy that had a weird face on it. That was,
Oh my God.
I want to say, Angoulême.
I was going to go on.
No.
Where is it?
Marseille.
Lyon.
Leon.
Yeah.
That,
But we
wasn't,
have
that
to-
wasn't a Pisserie Moderne,
fair-
was it?
No. To be fair, we have had stuffed courgette in numerous.
Yeah, exactly.
To be honest,
I
it's
was
actually
right on any of them.
it's actually worth it because we want to be around when guys like, oh, what's for dinner? I'm fucking starving, and they go, we are a collective. We love each other. We have made you especially a stuffed pepper. And the guy would just be like, I'm glad I bought a sandwich in the garage. I'm really.
Okay, next.
All right.
Go.
Mysterious green dip that tasted like mayo mixed with the contents of an ashtray.
Romania.
Yes.
What
well
was
done.
that?
amazing.
That was. I remember that. None of us know what it was, but Mr. T was right in saying, and I think you were invited to dip in it. It was something that looked like pickled watermelon.
It was unbelievable.
What?
It was just so weird.
Very
Sean
odd.
and I tasted it and just kind of went, whoa.
What is that? Yeah,
That's
not quite
insane.
sure what you're meant to do with that. Okay, go.
Yeah.
This is good.
This
Go,
is
go. I'm
great.
enjoying this.
Okay, 3 more. Tofu that most people ignored, but on closer inspection turned out to be cubes of mozzarella.
Well, the clue surely is in mozzarella.
Yeah.
No, is that a
In
cue?
Italy.
That is a
that
cue.
clue? So
Is
it's
it
going to be.
Rome or-
Well, if it's banned, it's going to be Milan or Rome.
Okay,
So what should we go for?
go for Milan because it's freezing cold.
Let's go for freezing cold Milan.
No, it's in
Rome.
Rome.
Ah,
It's in Rome.
It was a 50-50.
Should we explain freezing cold Milan?
Oh,
So we get there and it's not an outdoor gig,
Yeah.
but it kind of
It's
is
like
though,
it's
isn't
like got a
it?
tenty vibe.
And
in
it's
the
a
park,
tenty vibe, and there's a
and
little.
they've got Olympic skiing there at certain times of
Man,
year.
it's cold, bro. That
We were
was
doing
so
gigs in our
cold.
coats. It was
Man.
literally full on outdoor coat on.
Literally everything you
ideal.
got on.
Yeah, and your fingers just will not play.
Dude, that was. I'll never forget how cold that was. And the rider was like 6. What are those biscuits called with the yogurt in it, Timmy? You know those
Oh.
chocky bickies with yogurt in them.
Yeah,
Ballistos.
Ballistos.
Like 6
Ballistos.
ballistos and a packet
Yeah.
of
Oh my
packet
word.
of
Have half a
crisps.
dozen ballistos, and we'll bring you some pasta later. But when they bought the pasta, it was great. Anyway,
Yeah, it's great.
what's next? What's next?
Number-
Number,
okay.
So number 2,
Grilled chicken leg that looked fine, but on trying to cut it, had
yeah.
absolutely no meat on the bone whatsoever.
Oh, that was in the place where we went to do a weird festival supporting Michelle and D'Ancello.
Oh, was it in France?
Yes.
Place in
Ah,
France.
yeah, it was the, you know that.
Vichy.
No,
no,
not Vichy.
Clichy.
But it was. I
it
actually
called?
don't remember the name of the town.
Yeah, it was in
but it was
France,
just
that-
north of Paris.
I remember
Dude,
that. Yeah.
remember that because they had like it was the hottest summer on record.
Yes.
And they
God,
had
yeah.
like above the stage to keep it waterproof. They had see-through glass perspex.
That's right.
Of ceiling,
Yeah.
which magnified the heat
But,
on the
crew
stage.
were passing out on
Yeah,
stage.
literally,
my
they
s-
had to cover things in like marathon
foil.
runners.
Yeah,
gear.
silver foil. Yeah, my cymbals were kind of
Yeah,
bending.
everything was covered in
That's
silver
so
foil. It was
crazy.
Yeah,
absolutely
that's right.
insane.
Michelle
yeah.
and D'Ancello was great though.
She was
She did a
incredible.
cover of she did a can cover
Yeah.
Oh, really?
as an encore.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah, it was
that's
awesome.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Yeah, that was really
amazing.
good.
Loved it.
All right,
Too
well
hot, though.
done.
Okay,
I know
that was-
So last
God, that
one,
was good.
Just last one,
If
yeah.
it's not asparagus, I'm going to be
It's
very
just.
disappointed.
It's just.
Oh, no.
It's just.
What? Go on then.
It's just pike loaf.
Pike
Helsinki, baby.
Helsinki.
Yeah, and what happened was we were so upset with pike loaf as an option that me and Chris went down the road because we'd seen a little ristorante Italiano and we thought we'd just wander down there.
Can't go
and
wrong.
Chris was like, I'm going to get carbonara. It's going to be lovely. I love a good carbonara. So he bought a carbonara and we came in a foil thing and we came back, opened it up. It was just pitch black. Pitch black.
What?
Honestly, that's what he said. And he was like, is it a fucking carbonara? And I was like, mate, I got nothing for you. I got no advice. I can't tell you anything.
So what was it?
It was
He doesn't know. It was probably squid.
He doesn't, even to this day, he
Even to
doesn't
this
know.
day, he doesn't know, mate.
Oh,
That-
did he eat it?
yes, with a
course.
very dour facial expression on.
Oh my goodness!
Poor Chris
Wow.
Nichols. That was a
Oh,
cruel
well.
twist of fate.
That's,
But yeah,
that's awesome. That was a great quiz, Mr. T.
That was
Thanks.
good.
You
I
did. You
enjoyed
did
it.
actually very well.
I
was-
wasn't there for that Mumbai moment. I'm pretty sure. of that.
Ah, it was with the Staves. It was the night
No,
before.
I know the gig. I mean, I was there for the gig. I just don't necessarily remember being there for the dessert.
Right.
which is a possibility. But yeah, I think so. I think we've concluded actually, and quite wisely, that actually Health on Tour is a combination of being careful with your partying, trying to be sensible with your fooding, and like just bear in mind it's a marathon, not a sprint. True. Even you youngsters who've got all the partying in the world in you.
No, sprint. Go for it.
Yeah, they should sprint.
Yeah, they should sprint for all of us.
Should fucking just sprint.
I mean, on tour, I'm dairy-free vegetarian. I'm dairy-free for the Voice vegetarian, so I don't eat the burgers and the pizzas. It's that simple. Yeah. And on the day off, I might have a burger or something. That's my way of getting through it. Yeah. And I learned that the hard way by having really tough gigs and tours where I hadn't worked that out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's the trouble.
You've got to learn the hard way sometimes.
You do have to learn the hard way sometimes, exactly. But you know what I've been thinking recently is I wish that we had a bus that had like, I know they've got a kind of mini, exactly. But I know they've got kind of a mini kitchen, but I wish there was one that had like an actual full-on kitchen. Because imagine if you could actually have someone with you who could just cook for you as easily as that. I mean, I know you can bring caterers on tour, and that's great.
Or catering.
Yeah, but
imagine if someone had a lorry with loads of food in it that followed you around and served you dinner every day.
That'd be great. But yeah, catering is super expensive. But imagine on a bus, all you'd need is just like a nice functioning kitchen. And then, as you say, those dead hours in the day, someone could be cooking like proper healthy food. And like cooking your own healthy food, I reckon would be beneficial. I think that would be great. So,
you know what?
Next hustle, a tour bus with a gym in the back. Hey man, imagine for the fucking full-on diva of the band, it would be amazing. You could have one
Why
bus.
are you looking at me when you say that? That's outrageous.
I know you'll agree with me.
I agree that Tim is the diva,
exactly,
of course.
About Tim, yeah. So finally Tim gets his own bus with a shower, a kitchen and a gym. Yeah. Imagine the satisfaction. I realise we're talking like, the upper echelons of the industry here, but maybe
the thing is, the first ever tour we ever did really was the 07 support tour. Yeah. And they had catering. So we were spoilt from the word.
Well, no, we weren't spoilt because they wouldn't let us eat their catering, would they?
They did.
Well, they did because they felt so, because the crew felt so guilty.
We just sat there looking hungry and sad, and they eventually were like, "Go on, have a bit of lasagna."
You don't remember that?
And then eventually we.
I remember
it took 3 or 4 days on that before they let us eat anything from that catering. We were eating like garage sandwiches backstage. They wouldn't even let us use their dressing rooms.
I remember the moment where they said we could.
I do as well.
And you immediately grabbed a mini donut.
Yeah, and just wolfed it down, shoving donuts in your face.
Take that donut.
Exactly. But man, the other thing on tour is you got to keep an eye out for your hotel breakfast. And Tim was always a legend at spotting this and checking when it was, whether it's included, etc. Right?
Important.
And
breakfast
is important. But the thing is they've got strict rules about not sneaking buns stuffed with bacon out of them, wrapped in a handkerchief, which again,
is essential.
Tim has a flagrant disregard for these.
That's where you get your
rules.
bananas from.
Yeah, okay, exactly. But they guard this very efficiently.
They do.
So you've got to watch out for that. But occasionally you might end up in a hotel where they've got like an omelette chef, and then you can really go to town.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I feel sorry for that guy.
Well, the omelette chef's hard work.
Yeah, man,
hard
it's
graft.
just there, and it's like, I'm going to be doing eggs.
We were in the hotel once where we were there for more than one day, and so I befriended the omelette chef, right? I made a point to be really chatty with him, and we got on like a house on fire.
You're more than just the egg guy to me.
Exactly. We got on really well, right? And so on the second day, I said, I'd like a cheese omelette, please. And so I think he thought he was doing me a favour. He put so much cheese into this omelette, and I couldn't bring myself to go, no, mate, no, that's way
Who does
too much,
that?
Right? Exactly. And then he flipped over and he winked at me like, here you go, mate. Here's look at I've given you an extra cheesy omelette there. I walked over to my table like, well, that's absolutely inedible. It was insane.
We should do food on tour. Who wrote that food book?
Alex Kapranos.
Exactly. I thought it was brilliant. So we should do a food on tour section. We'll have a massive quiz.
Yeah.
See you next week on the last episode, I think.
But yeah, I guess next week is the last podcast
where we
episode,
reveal
leading to a big reveal. Lovely, yeah, beautiful. Health on tour. Then
we're putting on an album.
Excellent.
Out an album. All right.
Don't tell anyone.
Bye.
Until next week.
Bye.